it was fight week in Vegas, and I painted for Reebok. And all of the fighters were on stage wearing my shirts, and I was the ring girl, you know, for weigh-ins. And they're all wearing my hat, and they're all wearing my shirts, and I'm standing there as a ring girl. Like, how can this be that I'm the artist that painted for the biggest fight night, or not fight night, the biggest pay-per-view event of the year? And I think that for me, selfishly, was most memorable.
Unleashed with the Dingo and Danny, fueled by Monster Energy.
So we have a special guest today, Danny.
Very special guest.
Super special. Model, professional painter, and UFC ring girl.
Well, I believe artist.
Painter or artist? What is it?
Well, what's interesting is if you say artist, that can encompass a musician. There's so many different ways you can say,
Correct.
you know, what you do as an art form and you. So
Thank
painter.
You. I appreciate that. Nobody's ever made it look like that, but.
Well, yeah. It's an art.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's tell mom. No, mom's proud of me. What's going on?
You know, just out here in sunny California.
Speaking of, we were just talking about, you just moved, so you probably had to like go through a bunch of stuff and throw stuff out.
Exactly. It's still baking in my memory.
You moved back to Vegas.
Moved back. Yeah. You know, I was in LA for about 11 years. I did everything I thought that I wanted and came out to do. And I left on my own volition, which is good. You know, some people get kicked out of LA. I chose to leave.
Some people really do get kicked out of
They're
LA,
like, I can't hack it here. Like, I could hack it, but it just kind of became that point, you know, California just became a little like dodgy, or not California, LA specifically.
Very dodgy.
Very dodgy.
For people that honestly, like, and a lot of people don't understand it, but like, I've kind of lived all over. I've lived like in the hills. I've lived in condos. I've lived out by the water. And now I'm in a high rise, you know, because I travel a lot. I wish I never moved out of Malibu, but whatever. You know, you can always go back.
I wish you never moved out of Hollywood. Because that was really fun.
Yeah. When we were younger, we had a pretty rage and we had a pretty good setup. You know, but the crime thing is a real thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like what's happening in Los Angeles and Los Angeles County is super gnarly. And I was just at a friend's house in Encino the other day, and he's like, "Yeah, man, like his wife's pregnant, and there was a shooting across the road like 2 days ago." And he's like, "Man, it was like pretty full on." And it's like, it doesn't matter where you are now, at the Hollywood Hills, Beverly Hills, Encino, Sherman Oaks. Like, if you're living in a house that's not in a gated community, there's certain things you really got to think about every night and kind of almost be prepared for if it happens. And
I
it's
think
crazy
it's like,
to live like that.
And as much as you pay to live here, you know, it's just, you know, in taxes and just everything.
Taxes?
Yeah, taxes.
You sounded like you're not from here, but you're like full on California girl.
I think so.
Yeah,
I was born in San Diego, so.
Oh yeah, it makes sense. Taxes.
But, you know, you have to worry about your mail being stolen. Like, just these simple, even you know, obviously the crime in and of itself is so scary, but like, I would get packages just all the time. Like, nothing can be left at your door. Then you have to be home. It became this just never ending cycle of fear. And I just wanted to go back to Vegas. I have a couple properties out there, and my family's there, my brother's there, my friends are there. I was like, oh, let me just go take a seat over there and see how it goes.
Right.
I like it.
I met your mom before. Your mom's cool.
My mom likes you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mom's cool. But you spent time in Vegas pre that, right?
Oh yeah.
Like a lot of time.
I grew up there.
You grew up there.
So I went to high school there and middle school, and you know, that was my town. And when I moved to LA, I went to art school when I was like 22.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when did you start modeling?
Probably like 19. That's when I started working with UFC, well, WEC, which was the sister weight class.
Yeah.
Well, sister company, lighter weight class. So probably about 19 years old.
So you like made your way up through the ranks to become.
Well, I was a professional dancer. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to dance in the big Vegas shows, right? Because when you grow up in Vegas, you're like, what the hell is there? There's no culture really, except the strip is like your culture. And painting is something I always had a natural talent in, but that was never something that my family was like, oh yeah, you could totally be a painter. Like, this would be great for you. It was more just like, I don't know, just get out into the world and figure it out. So I wanted to be a dancer and dance in the big shows, and that's what I did. I danced for Jubilee. I did the X Burlesque at the Flamingo. I did the V Ultimate Variety Show as a magician's assistant at the Aladdin, which is now Planet Hollywood. I did show business for a while, and then I had agencies that were like booking me, and then that's how WEC and UFC came in.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then you kind of get grandfathered, you move on up.
Mm-hmm.
And then when was your first, when did you start? And then when you came to LA and you were studying at UCLA art school, were you were ring girl then too, right?
Yeah.
So you were kind of like doubling
That's how
up.
I was like so, you know, when we're in our early 20s, I'm like, okay, this is how this is going to work. I'm going to go to school during the week and I'm going to work the fights on the weekend. And this is exactly how, then I'm just going to survive and pay with UFC money for my art school. And I did. And it was able to actually like, and then I always like had like a backup plan. Like, I'm like, and then maybe if something doesn't work out, I'll just like drive to Vegas on the weekends and be a cocktail waitress. Because that's what they do. That's what these girls do. They'll live in California like Monday through Thursday, and then they go to Vegas for 3 days in the cocktail. And
yeah, I knew someone that did that, but she wasn't cocktailing. She was stripping. But
yeah, I mean,
too. Same thing, right?
I think there's a few differences in that one.
Did you have, was there any trouble being like a really good looking girl at models starting out doing art?
There still is, you know, and I think that there's this preconceived notion that you have to look a certain way or be a certain way or be a certain kind of sad or, you know,
be a certain kind of sad.
Does that make sense?
Kind of,
you gotta be like a struggling artist.
Yeah, just like, but the thing is
great.
Yeah, but you know, I always mastered in like a marketing kind of point and being able to market myself and who says that you can't be, you know, look this way and do this? It's like you have a talent for it, show it and show that you don't have to like be this one trick pony and just be like, oh, she's hot, she could just be a professional hot chick. Like, no, actually I just happen to be cute, but art is what I have a passion in and what I'm good at. And as long as you, I think, are authentic to your brand and authentic to the kind of paintings you do and you don't just rip off of other artists just because you have a talent, I think that that's another important part of, and that's why I have been able to gain so much success is it's really always been my vision.
My phone just binged. That was me being bad.
Yeah, I'm like, am I boring you?
I love art and I love painting and I've definitely I like have dreams of traveling around and I like to paint like scenes, like you know, landscape or buildings, and I've done it years ago. I would like do some travels and take my kit and like go just like paint in a square or something.
It's therapeutic, isn't it?
It's incredible, you
Yeah.
know. And my favorite part about it was like I'd be painting this building and at first people come by and they kind of like see it and no one really get it.
Yeah.
But then like after an hour or two, people come by and they're like, wow, that's this. Like,
Yeah.
you're painting this. And you're like, yeah, like finally you can see it.
It takes some time, you know, and that's what's interesting because I, you know, have the modeling aspect. So they'll hire me to do like live painting. And I'm like, you realize how boring it actually is because it takes a second for it to start looking cool. I'm like, I'm going to need to start the painting first.
Yeah.
And then I'll come in like the last like 20 minutes and then it starts looking dope. But if not, like it's kind of a little sketch in the beginning. You're like, it's going to be cute. I swear. Just wait.
Yeah. You're like, just wait. A few more layers.
Yeah.
And then how did you get into like painting like you paint really good portraits? Like, and I would assume that's not easy.
No. That's actually where I started. So when I was 21 years old, I was in a car accident. Fractured my pelvis in 3 places. I'm sure you guys are very familiar with injuries as such. And
I never fractured my pelvis in 3 places. Didn't you have to learn how to walk again?
You kind of do. And at that time I wasn't, you know, I was 21. So I was like, I'm not going to physical therapy. Hell no.
Right? You just don't think like that.
No way. I'm like,
I broke my arm when I was a kid,
yeah.
and I was so scared that they were going to send me back to Australia that I just didn't tell anyone I was broken.
Yeah.
So I had mended broken, and then they had to re-break it to like.
Yeah. So now my hips are like a little cocked, a little different because I didn't take care of it.
Yeah, you got a good stride.
Right. Exactly. So like, is that a hitch in your giddy up? No, but so as my therapy, I would just smoke pot and listen to Jimi Hendrix and paint his portrait over and over and over. And I have them still. These
the first one.
Oh yeah,
the first one.
There's like 5 of them. Yeah,
we need to pop that up on the screen. You need
yeah,
to send us a picture of that.
I'll find it. Well, I have to have a photo, but I would just paint it, and then I would just get real high, and then I fell in love with it, and it was like every one I was doing, I was getting better and better, and I was just doing color blocking at that time, just finding like the shadows of the face, and then it just kind of, I knew that the portraits were just something to me, something about the eyes and the face, and musicians and music is such a big part of my life and my family's life. And when I went to art school, I took portraiture and I really studied how to measure a face correctly, because when you're painting portraits, especially of famous people, you're like, if you mess up, they're like, that's fucking terrible. You know, it's like, because you really have to get the dimensions right. Like the face is all just like the tiniest little scotches of anything, and if you mess it up, it'll look like a completely different person.
So like you've done you Lady Gaga's for her Born This Way Foundation.
Yep.
Had you met her?
So no. So I did that. I was doing an art show, and it was New Year's Eve weekend at the Park MGM. I had kind of a little residency there for a second, and she had her show. What was it? The name? She had a residency there. So I wanted to pay tribute to her and hopefully work with the foundation. And I painted it, and it's lit up and really cool. I got to present it to her on New Year's Eve in the green room after she was performing the Jazz After Hours.
Yeah.
And she was blown away. I remember I was in this like little like fringy dress. Like I was on the floor, broke my shoe, and I'm just like, I just think you're wonderful. And here's your painting. She's just like, she was tripping. I was tripping. I was like, couldn't believe it. And then, yeah, so I met her.
That's sick.
And hung with her for a sec.
And then you've done Steven Tyler's foundation.
Yep.
So you painted
twice.
Steven.
I painted, well, the first time I painted for Steven, I painted his shirt, his microphone, and the bandana, but I made it an abstract.
Yeah.
The second time, which I had just done, I painted the Palladium, the Hollywood Palladium, which was a commission. Yeah.
Our friend Kurt Busch, who, well, it's weird. He's already getting divorced, but he had Steven Tyler play at their last wedding.
Oh wow.
And like the story of him telling it was sick because he was only supposed to play 3 songs, and then he actually played like a full set.
He sounds incredible still.
Yeah,
like, he really can rock out a show.
Yeah, I met him a couple times. He seems
he's
fun.
nice. He's a UFC fan.
Is he?
Fights. Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of UFC fans.
That's true.
Isn't that kind of crazy? Like, I mean, you're being there from the beginning. Like,
Yeah.
how? Like, what was that like? You know, kind of. You know, there's you kind of been a staple of this company now for a very, very long time. And
15
kind of
years.
That's crazy.
15 years. I'm like a ring woman.
Yeah.
Or like a ring lady. I think I've like surpassed the woman. I'm like,
you're like famous than most of the fighters.
you know, and that's what's special. I think like in the beginning we were all, it was new, and then when they were joining the weight classes over, and it was becoming so much of this new fun. So it's just like this new cousin you like bring in, and we're all just like traveling together, and we're all really young and staying at these fighter hotels, we call it, and just it becomes like this family. You know, we're on the road, we work on the weekends. You're with a bunch of boys. You know, Ariane and I are like the only girls, and like, you know, we huddle into our own little spot. But you know, because we've been there so long, we're respected really by the fighters and the company. So it's like when we're around, they're like, these are our sisters, like back up. You know, like you feel like you have like these big brothers, like
kinda
no one's gonna mess with us, right? Like no one messes with us. You know, like I think there's this preconceived notion. They're like, oh, you guys must get hit on all the time. We don't. Like they know better in the sense of like those are like the girls. Like leave them to their spot.
Like, you're like their sisters.
Yeah,
it's crazy because you know there's been a lot of flack over the time with just sports in general, and like what like you know the way that you know girls have been perceived, promo girls and whatnot, and in car racing they took them off F1. You know, when we did the deal with Monster to be the title sponsor of NASCAR, they didn't want us to bring girls, and like it's a staple of Monster Energy are our girls, and it's from the CEO down,
Janie,
and also like that's you know I you know with what Dana's done, and you know he's made it a staple as well, and it's we live in a very strange time, and a lot of this cancel culture stuff, but I love that you know that Dana's doing the same thing that we kind of do, and it's a part of it. It's like kind of tradition, and taking it away, like imagine there being like I always say, like you think Dana's ever not gonna have ring girls? No. Never. It's like, and it's cool. It's a staple of it. It's like it's not, you know, in my eyes like sexist or whatever the people want to look at it. It's a part of what it is.
It's like, but we also have a choice.
You know?
Dana's not like chaining me up, and Ariane and I are like stuck to the octagon. Like we have a choice to be there or not. If there's no, and just like your girls and you know, Janie's a friend of mine. We have a choice to do these jobs, and we enjoy them. I genuinely want to be there, and I keep in shape. The body that doesn't these things don't bother us. It bothers more people than it bothers the people actually doing it. And I think that it's just their way of trying to create this conflict within something that's totally working just fine. And if we have a complaint, we'll take it up with you. You know.
Yeah. So you've been there from the beginning. So you kind of seen the rise of it. You know, in your eyes, when was that like haha moment of this thing's huge? You know, there was obviously, you know, Chuck Liddell and the Tito Ortizes and like, you know, the original kind of superstars of it. But I feel like that wasn't even close to the peak of it. You know, Ronda Rousey came through.
Yeah.
And I think in my eyes, you know, when actually the mat behind here is the our first Monster sponsored, where we had the mat in the middle. So it was supposed to be at MGM, I think 2014, January 2nd fight or whatnot, and there was a complication, so they ripped the mat up, and then it wasn't like the lawyers couldn't, whatever happened, and the first original Monster sponsored fight was the Staples Center and Ronda Rousey when she came in and pulled her arm off. I think that was in like February. So that mat's right there. You know, and I think the Ronda moment for me, and then obviously it moved into Conor McGregor and what it is now. And Conor, I think what Conor did changed the face of sports forever.
Absolutely.
But in my mind, it's when I asked you, like, I think it was the Ronda Rousey moment that like made UFC on that mainstream world level, because it was a couple things that, you know, it wasn't some guy, it was a girl that then was driving all these new fans and brought all this new attention to it, and a sport that's so male dominated from boxing to this, all of a sudden there's this like almost 50-50 or close to 50-50, which you don't see in any other sport or any other industries like that. And it was pretty amazing. And from taking off there, it's like, you know, so I wanted to ask you, like, you know, being there from the beginning, like what was one of your or some of your like moments where you're like, wow, like this is bigger than just some, you know,
some just like at the joint at Hard Rock, you
100%,
know,
you know, and you used to be there for that.
I know. You know, I think we were in Toronto and they sold out the stadium there for a UFC event. And to be...
So GSP at that time was massive. Yes.
So when we were there on a sold out stadium for UFC, so the Octagon is only going to just be the Octagon size. Like you don't like make the Octagon bigger because you're in a bigger thing.
You got 100,000 people, so we need the triple XL Octagon.
You know, 3 fights at the same time, you know, that would actually be cool.
Yeah.
But I think that, so when you were there and like you were so small when you were walking around, but they'd put us on these jumbotrons and you just hear this roar and we're all just like, oh fuck, like well, this is crazy. I mean, even Dana, like when we were walking out, you just feel this all coming at you. And I think that, and you know, I think that for me was just showing like this is getting big. And that was years ago too. Yeah. But then, people like Ronda and, you know, Connor's a friend of mine. I painted for Connor. He owns a painting of mine.
I see it all the time on his Instagram.
Yeah.
It's in his gym. Like his own cool? Gym. It's pretty sick, actually.
I know. I'm always like, screenshot, you know, repost, you know. No, I'm actually working with him right now on his NFTs as well. So I think that, you know, staple athletes like that really have, you know, I loved Anderson Silva so much. He was a big favorite of mine for a while. I mean, it's a perfect storm. You know, they really bringing in the female fighters. You know, Valentina, she's just so awesome, and we have just great characters. Rose and you know, it's a beautiful organization. I'm grateful. Yeah,
it really is. And you know, during COVID, there was, I'm losing stuff. You know, most people stopped, and it was, you know, a testament to Dana and the organization. You guys, I don't think missed a beat.
Nope. And you know, when they had us come back, we were in Jacksonville, and they weren't gonna have a ring girl. I text Dana. I was like, I am not afraid of shit. Let's do it.
Were you in Jacksonville with us
the whole time?
Did we hang out with you?
I went to Kelly's show one time.
You came a Hunter, right?
The first show, yeah.
We were lit.
Yeah.
That was when I was standing on the bar. I had the mayor on the bar.
I was pumped.
Yeah. That was cool. Again, cool, because Dana, like, literally that Jacksonville happened. Fight Island had already been going on, though, right?
Well, so before Fight Island, we were in Jacksonville anyway, but there was no audience, but we still had the arena, and we all had to live in the hotel. Yeah. So we had a bunch of fights. So we were living in the hotel for like 2 weeks. And I was the only Octagon girl. And I was literally sitting there. But I think the first time I stood up and I walked around and I came back and I was like, you guys, there's like no one here. So then
and that was when the seats were all apart. Yeah.
So then for months, I would only stand where the camera would catch me. I wouldn't walk around because there's no audience. So I would just I would stand in my queue and then I would walk down like I walked, you know. And then they made us like start walking around the whole time. I was like, it feels weird to go in this circle. I'm exhausted.
Yeah. Were you at Fight Island?
No.
They didn't bring girls there?
They did. It's just too far.
Too far. You want to do the move. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, but, you know, we have other great girls and, you know, Red and give them, you know.
Yeah. Do you have like a memorable, like what your most favorite fight is? Because you're at all the big ones.
Yeah. I love that Ronda fight. I think that was pretty memorable. Conor's fight. There was this one event. It was Fight Week in Vegas, and I painted for Reebok, and all of the fighters were on stage wearing my shirts, and I was the ring girl, for weigh-ins, and they're all wearing my hat, and they're all wearing my shirts, and I'm standing there as a ring girl, like, how can this be that I'm the artist that painted for the biggest fight night, or not fight night, the biggest pay-per-view event of the year? And I think that for me, selfishly, was most memorable, but
yeah, you just like brainwash the entire world.
Yeah.
You're like, here's my paintings.
Yeah, here I am.
Here's my paintings.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool you being able to kind of morph it all in.
Yeah.
As one, and one of the most famous fight of all time is like wanting you to create these NFTs. How's that going?
It's going good.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. Working with him, I mean, there's a lot of great artists. There's a couple that are working on the project, and for me to be aligned with them is just an honor. And Conor, they had the idea because Conor had purchased a painting from me already, and then he approached it and he's like, "Hey, what about Brittney?" And Conor's like, "Absolutely, get her in."
Yeah.
And like just to not only be the ring girl, not to only be this professional hot chick that like they like to say, and like to be taken seriously as an artist. That's the point. You know, that's what I'm striving for.
He hasn't really changed over time, huh? He still seems like kind of the same guy.
Yeah.
Just
richer.
Yeah. I actually got to, we did a thing at one of the football games, and then Complexity, which is the Cowboys gaming division. I'd put Sean O'Malley on with them, and he's actually an investor in it. So I got to introduce the two of them. Well, the first time we kind of tried to do it, Connor came to a nightclub we were at, and he was on crutches, and it was all pretty loud, but he came crutching in. And then it was just like you couldn't really see, but we're all sitting at the table, and then kind of like desk stares us, but he couldn't really see, and he was trying to come in, but he had his crutches on. And a friend of mine looks over and he's like, "I think Connor's desk staring you." And I was like, "Oh," and he couldn't really talk, and then so he crutched over and then crutched past, and then so it didn't really work, but it looked like he's like, "It looks like Connor's trying to fight you." And I'm like, "No, I think he's trying to come in." And it was like, anyway, that was a lot, so it didn't happen. And then it was a Chargers game he came to, and then we did the thing, and Sean O'Malley, he's his idol, so it was cool to see them kind of meet. But there was a video that was taken, then I took the video, but there was no sound on it, and everybody was like, "What were these guys?" The whole thing was.
You gotta do like a reenactment and like just like make up a conversation.
I mean, if you kind of lip read it, you can kind of see what they're talking about. They're talking about money.
Yeah, there you go.
But it's cool because Sean's obviously coming through the ranks, but he's taken a lot of what he does into what Conor did, and it's a testament to Conor. Is like, I think that I've been around a lot of very powerful and famous people for a certain amount of time, and he carries that weight. It's like I remember being with Ozzy Osbourne. When Ozzy Osbourne walks into a room, I don't care if there's fucking 3 presidents in there, the room stops, and this energy goes to this aura of this person. And Conor McGregor carries that kind of aura around him. He's larger than life, and it's it's cool that came from UFC. When the company sold or partnered, there was a transaction there, into William Morris and IMG and going public. Was there much of a change at the company, or?
I think internally that there was a change, but for us, we're independent contractors, and we didn't really feel too much of a rattle. So I mean, we were hoping for new costumes, but no, I mean, there wasn't really a change.
What's
for us.
wrong with your costumes?
No, they're great. We just.
What would your dream costume change have been?
I don't know. I mean, I've designed so many ideas, and Dana likes what he likes. Like that is the outfit, because our outfits have been the same for this whole time,
right?
And we're always like, "Dana, like, don't you just think like maybe a little cross, like a little one shoulder, no, like a skirt, anyone?" And like he's just like, "No, like these are the outfits." So but no, we didn't really feel a change. We saw a little bit of a change, and I think you see it becoming more corporate, in a more stable fashion.
Yeah, it's like anything. There's always that. So there's a quote here, I guess, from Habib, where he says that ring girls are pretty much useless.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that culturally it makes sense that he would say that.
Yeah.
So I don't take it personal. I think that it's really up to interpretation of what you think is important and what you don't think is important. I said a snarky little quote that Andy Warhol said. I said, I don't read what they write. I measure it in inches.
Oh, wow.
I said it when they did a New York Post on us. I felt bad about it, but now I just repeated it again. So I'm still stay with it. But I mean, it's fine. I think that it caused up more of a stir, and I don't know if he necessarily meant that to like just be a certain bash. I think that was a personal question that they asked if he was gonna have ring girls in his organization. And he was like, "Oh, I just don't think that they're necessary." So you're like, "Okay," but then everyone's like, "Oh, it was a personal attack on all of you," and we're like, "Oh, was it?"
Right. I mean, you're right though. There's just a big cultural difference.
Yeah. That's fine.
Were you at the Habib Conor fight?
The big one, yeah.
Like
that
when
was
all the fights broke out?
Yeah.
I was watching that from home, and it was like, because at that point too, you could like hit social media, and you know what's so funny is I just looked at my phone because I was looking at the thing, but Chef Barry just texted.
Oh, we love.
She always eats at these restaurants. Remember, we used to eat at the restaurant in the Palms, the 9 Steakhouse.
Oh yeah.
The Chef Barry would always take care of us. They're
so
buddies.
Good.
She always eats at these places in Vegas.
I love that
shout out
spot.
to Barry. He's cool.
Yeah, shout out to Barry at Circa. No, that was crazy, and I think that was a point where, you know, we've never really been afraid, but when they were mobbing the stage, like I said, we have great security, so they just literally put our hoods on us, grabbed us by the back of our capes, and like just like threw us into the back, and we were safe, but we were scared for a while.
It was crazy, like watching that on social media. It was like the first time I was like, wow, they've lost control of this.
Yeah.
They were like, because on socials you could just watch fights breaking out on Twitter and all these things, and like it was like the first time I was like, wow, like this is gone personal.
Yeah.
You know, you've got Ireland versus the rest of the world here, and everyone's a little. That was what a weird moment.
Yeah.
I forget who jumped back in the ring. Who came over the fence?
Khabib.
He came over the fence, right?
Yeah. And his whole crew.
Yeah. What was his trainer's name? Where's the funny hat?
Oh, I don't know.
A lot of people don't like that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, that was shitty. That was a shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
To just create so much chaos within people who weren't even involved in whatever, you know. But we made it out.
Who do you think the next kind of like superstars are? It really seems like a lot of the girls right now, like, you know, that last fight with Rose really kind of bummed me out because it was, I don't know, it just all seemed weird from the beginning. Like her walking out and, you know, her weird kind of chance to herself.
You know what I really liked about that fight though? After that fight, what Rose said, she's like, maybe I didn't want to get punched in the face. She's like, do you ever think about that? Like, she's like, maybe I just wanted to have a good defense. And it really, you know, I think with our sport, everyone they want this instant gratification. They're like, just punch out, drag out, knock out, fight. But like sometimes, like if you really think of how hard it is to fight somebody, the defense is impossible. And her defense was incredible.
Right.
But no one really looked at it that way because Rose is just used to just smashing through faces and vice versa. And like she's like I just wanted to practice the defense strategy this fight, so I did. And I think that was really, it was a movement and I think a good direction and for her. So but yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I think Valentina is I
kind of have a crush on her.
I do too.
Wow.
I'm the same. I love her, and she's just I think she's a star, and
she really is a star.
She's a star. There's something about her. She's unapologetically authentic, and I think that's great. And she stood up for us with the whole Khabib.
She did?
She did. She did a big one. And then after,
what country is she from?
Valentina is Russian.
Is she Russian? Or is no? She is Russian.
Yeah, I think. I don't mark me on that one. Can you? Yeah.
Poland.
I don't know. Let me see who else. Oh my God, you know, there's so many new ones that come through all the time. It's I mean, Sean O'Malley, I think he's
fun, right?
He's fun. He's
it's
special.
Cool. I've gotten to like know him pretty well, and you know, I've gone out there and you know hung with him and his wife, and it's just been cool. I think I met him at the right time, and you know, he's smart.
Yeah.
He's very smart. He kind of knows what he's doing. You know, a lot of people don't like a lot of his antics and the fact that he hangs out with the Paul brothers or does these like off the cusp things with 6ix9ine and he's like, I kind of put him in a different category too. I think I think he has the potential to like have a brand that's larger than him, you know, whatever that may be. And I think that he's, You know, I think that he's a breath of fresh air for the industry, and you know, he kind of likes playing the bad guy, but then also he's entertaining everybody at the same time, and then backs it up.
But that's important, you know. Like Connor is the same thing. Like he likes to play the bad guy, but I mean, the experiences I've had with him, he's not as he portrays on camera. But that's what brings the numbers in, you know. Like people want to see that shit, just like Mayweather, right? Like he likes to just create this shitstorm, so it sells tickets.
Yeah, no, it's cool. You know, hopefully we get, you know, some more people like that.
Yeah.
You know, but it's also tough. Like the way that it is now, it's the best of the best. Like it's not as easy to get into, even just to get a chance to be able to fight there now. It's a big process.
Well, that's why I like these Apex fights that we've been doing, you know.
I do too.
Because they're intimate, they're at the UFC Center, but you really give these fighters, I mean, the last fight we worked on Saturday, there was 14 fights, and a lot of these fighters, I was like, who are these people? But they were great.
Yeah.
They were striking. I mean, they were really great fighters. So it does open up, and, you know, with the ESPN now, because there's just more fights. I mean, there's fights every weekend. So there's always new fighters coming in, and then eventually you keep building it.
Were you at the Ferguson fight that last for the...
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That was crazy.
That was gnarly, right?
Yeah.
Kicked to the face, Dan, and like crumbled to his face and was like knocked out, like falling to the ground, and then he was knocked out for like 3 minutes.
Whoa.
Yeah, those
like
get scary
time.
for us.
Like he's doing backflips, and he's like, guy's done like 7 backflips. He's like, oh wow, he's still like out.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty gnarly. You're like really active. I noticed that you snowboard like almost more than I do.
I mean, I find that hard to believe.
But you're an active snowboarder.
Yeah. Yes, I love it. Not last year, the year before, I made a deal and I was like, I'm going to go snowboarding as much as possible next season. And then this past season, I went so much and I was like, whoa, be careful what you wish for. Like, it was just, the snow wasn't even that great either. But,
where do you go? You mostly go to Park City?
Yeah, Park City was a good staple. Mammoth was my first time doing Mammoth this season. I love Mammoth.
I've been trying to get her to Mammoth.
Mammoth is dope.
the best.
Mammoth's the best.
Especially if you're in California. It's
Yeah.
like the pinnacle
Yeah.
of where it's at.
Did you ride any of the Vegas mountains?
I learned how to snowboard at Lee Canyon.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. That little tiny.
Yeah, cool.
I wonder if, like, now that I know how to do it, like, how I would shred down that thing in, like, a minute. You know, like, before it took me, like, 5 minutes.
Yeah,
tiny
now
little
you're
mountain.
like bottom to top
Like,
quick. Got
yeah.
that in 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Did you surf?
I surfed when I moved to California.
Yeah.
And then I got bit by the board one too many times. And I was like, I don't know if this is my sport. And my arms are kind of weak. Like, my legs are
arms
stronger.
are weak.
Gotta go fast, you know? Like, you gotta get in front of that wave.
Paddling is tough.
Paddling is
And you
hard.
gotta know where
different.
to paddle from.
Yeah, and, like,
when
I
to
think I'm
start.
small, and, like, my body's a little bit, like, doesn't, like, I can't go break through because you really got to go under that wave. And I'm, like, a tiny, like, I just buoyancy up. So then I can't get out. So by the time I'm actually out of there, I'm exhausted. And then I have to have somebody push me in. And, like, everyone's mean on the water out here, you know?
People are mean.
People are mean. They're like, I'm not pushing that little girl in. You either know how to do it or get off our beach.
It's crazy. Like, surfers.
Where do I surf?
Surf mentality is pretty gnarly.
Yeah, like, where do I go? You
Yeah,
know,
they
like,
don't want you
Venice,
to-
mean. Malibu, meaner. Like, everyone's mean out here.
Malibu's very mean.
They're so rude. Like, you can't go to Huntington. It's too fucking hard. I mean, I don't know.
You ever surfed a wave pool?
No, but I think I
Wave pools are
should.
Cool.
Kelly has one, Slater.
He does have one.
Yeah, in what, Palm Springs or something?
It's like, oh no, Ojai, just outside of Ojai,
Ojai.
California. There's a pool in Palm Springs. They're rebuilding it right now. It's going to be connected. And then apparently I just heard that Disney's building a pool out there too. in
See,
Palm
that's more my
Springs.
speed.
Do you go to music festivals?
Yeah.
What kind of music is your festival?
I did Outside Lands.
Yeah.
I made a deal that I wouldn't do 3 days anymore because I'm getting too old.
Right.
I just did EDC for my first.
We were like, she was on the same deck as us, and
But
she'd
I got
never been, and she
scared.
was like,
It's scary over
She-
there. You don't want to leave.
she'd
I'm all
never
like,
been.
I'm
She's like, what is going
like,
on?
if I don't find him, I might never be found. Like, you just get sucked into like a molly hole over there by all these weirdos.
Danny's gonna come next year. He's gonna get him back.
It's
in
fun.
There. It's so much fun.
It's so much fun.
Did you get to see the fireworks show?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I stayed that long.
And then you came in and out on the helicopter.
Yep.
Yeah, you did it right.
That's what I do.
I
yeah.
camp out there now. I'm in it.
You're in it.
It's glamping.
You do 3 days.
I'm out there for technically
That's
5
a
days.
lot of time.
I move in on like Thursday, and then I leave there. I was the last person to leave the lot on Monday up Squall. As we're driving out, there's still people camping in the lot, and there were 40,000 people camping there this year.
40,000?
Yeah, the whole back
Wild.
parking lot. It's its own It's its own little world.
Yeah, that was fun. It was my first, and I was like, "This is my first and last," and I was like, well, "Maybe I'll go back.
I'll go back
One day."
Once you get like the understanding of it, you're gonna be pumped.
Well, we barely left.
I bet you only really went to your one table and hung at your table. Like we
saw a zoo, and then we went right back. I didn't go to any of the other tables.
Yeah.
But we were scared because that section, remember, it got closed off for a beat.
Yeah.
Our little table section. There was too many.
Our
people.
traveling party, we had over 100 people with us.
That's
Crazy.
so many people.
But like what you got to do is almost just get lost in it and get down there and you go find all these other weird stages.
Yeah.
And weird little escape rooms and like.
Yeah. See, I didn't
there was one room that was like a disco room and you go in there and it's full on 70s disco music. All people dressed up crazy and like there's just a lot. We went to one of our friends got married there at this one. There's a chapel in there.
Yeah.
There's two chapels
fun.
You can get married at. They did 125 ceremonies.
That's 125.
How many annulments though?
Well, if it's in Vegas, right next to it, kind of easy or no?
Huh?
Was it in Vegas?
Yeah.
So don't you get free annulments in Vegas?
I don't know.
No?
Never had one.
You get a cup with your picture on it.
I don't know.
Nice.
I've been to the little chapel a few times.
Danny's
never said I do.
Danny's a huge fan of OnlyFans. He calls it fans only.
Hey, that's what I call it.
I don't know. I want to subscribe to one, but I don't know how.
Why don't you subscribe to Brittney's?
Yeah, subscribe to mine. It's free subscription.
How much is it a month?
Free.
It's free?
Yeah.
How's that possible?
You gotta. Yeah, I mean, there's two different ways to do it. You can have a pay for like a monthly thing, and then or you can do it free, and then you have to like pay to open the content. Like some of it's free, but then like like the cool special stuff is like not free.
I always just wonder like how special is that stuff?
It's special.
Because I'll
special.
click on them and be like, oh wait, that's a link. Oh wow, this is a link to a whole nother
link
to another world.
They want my credit card.
Yeah, you got
my credit card.
See, I'm just scared of that because I'm not very good at canceling those subscriptions, not with fans only, but any subscription.
Yeah.
Like I have like 2 or 3 Netflixes rolling now, and I just keep getting.
You should let the Netflix CEO know you got 3 so he could
merge.
Yeah,
merge.
So no, if you have to put your credit card in regardless, just to have it on file, but you don't need to subscribe to anybody if you don't want. And like I said, a lot of pages are free, and then so everything they post is, free for you to see. And then if it's like something that's they want you to pay to see, if it's extra content, then you just pay $5 or whatever the thing is and you open it up.
See, but I'm always so worried that I'm going to buy into one of these and then there's only like 3 photos on there.
Well, then you complain to HR.
Then you complain to HR. And how long have you been doing it?
I started doing OnlyFans in 2020 during the pandemic. And it was just kind of a way I was like, all right, well, let's just give this a go. You don't have to, from what I thought, it was just like porn. I was like, I'm not going to do that. That's crazy. And then they're like, no, it's actually just like a way to communicate with your fans.
Yeah.
And give them access to you and your content and not just, because with Instagram, it's all free, right? You give them all, you pay
give
for
everything away.
Give everything away for free. So kind of looking at that and I was like, well, let's just give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? And then I did. And I was just like, oh shit, this is a whole new world. And I do a lot of painting videos and I do my time-lapse videos and I really create a special market for me and my fans, and it's curated, and there's so much more that I give out on OnlyFans than I do with Instagram, obviously.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And how many subscribers do you have on
is that a personal question?
I don't know. It doesn't
I have 360,000.
360,000
slapped in your face.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
I'm grateful. I know the owners really well, and they're.
Is it true that it was like supposed to be a cooking site?
I don't know.
You know the back end of that? Ask them that.
Yeah, I will.
I heard it was
like
supposed to be like a online cooking thing.
Yeah.
Cooking with gas.
I know that there are girls that like cook in lingerie on there, so
What are their OnlyFans?
Yeah, right?
People always tell me I need an OnlyFans.
You guys should.
I know. We should have one.
You should have one for the show. Do like snowboarding tutorials. Like, hey, this is how you... People, I would buy that.
OnlyFans, we need to do it, though. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We would.
You gotta
we'll go skiing.
Oh, yeah.
You want to see Danny and Nick go skiing?
Naked skiing.
Yeah.
That would crush.
We'd be pretty good on that one.
We'd do great.
Yeah, reserve your name.
What's coming up for you? What are you most looking forward to?
So what's coming up for me? So I was telling you earlier, I have a gallery and a studio in Las Vegas that I am opening. It's basically just my own art studio, but I'll open it up for private showings, appointment only. That's going to be exciting and something I've always really wanted to do, and have a creative space like that, and eventually have, give kids free art classes for after school programs, and just really create an art culture out in Vegas.
Yep.
And, just keep doing this thing, keep with my art and expanding. And I've been in this really great transition of moving to Vegas, and also, I can't wait to paint the things that I want to paint, because I've been in kind of commission world for a little bit, and I work with Topps. I did the Star Wars project.
That's cool.
Which was really exciting because, Star Wars is, I love Star Wars. And
who's your favorite character?
I mean, Grogu, obviously. But that's like Mandalorian, but he's a Star Wars character.
Well, okay, then like Baby
I've been
Yoda's
rewatching
mine.
all the
that's
Star
that's
Wars
Grogu.
again.
Okay, cool. Sorry. I'm not a huge fan, just a fan.
So I just worked on that project, and they want to continue the project and do more Star Wars cards. And then, I did Project 70, where I painted the baseball cards.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah.
What is that? Because that seems like a pretty big thing.
Yeah. So, the Topps trading cards when you were a kid, right? Topps, they have recreated this whole industry. Not recreated, just what's the, zhuzhed up
Redefined?
and there we are. That's better than zhuzhed up. What's kind of a word? How do you spell that?
Jeez,
Juiced up.
So they redefined this new industry, and they commissioned all of these incredible artists. They started with Project 2020, whatever, and they had 20 artists in 2020 create 20 cards, and then so they did Project 70. And they had 50 of us. I mean, Snoop Dogg was on the project, Risk. We had Gregory Siff. We had all these incredible artists.
Wait. Snoop Dogg?
Snoop Dogg's an artist too?
I
mean,
what isn't Snoop Dogg on, or what doesn't he do?
He does everything.
I was asking somebody the other day, I was like, in like Snoop Dogg's busiest day ever, like how many events, how many DJ sets, like, and literally.
And like, isn't he tired? Like, if I smoke that much weed, I'm done. Right?
And I feel like in his busiest day too, he like hit like 2 random bar mitzvahs that he was like got 150 grand to show up at too.
Yeah. Do you think his manager even knows, or he's like, hey, we got to stop here and make a stop, and it's like full on.
Does he have an OnlyFans though? Like,
he probably does.
He probably does.
Whoa, what do you think he's doing on there?
Running his own and everything.
Yeah.
So I got to paint these baseball cards, and like I was never really that much of a baseball, not that I wasn't a fan, I didn't know too much about it, and then I'm painting these cards, and I get to choose the athletes and the teams, and then I start really becoming fans, because now I'm like choosing like Doc Ellis, right, when he did LSD, and I was like, this guy's sick. So I made his card like all trippy and like acided out, and I got to understand a lot about these really special players. And then respectfully, Topps and I are continuously working together, and now we're on Star Wars.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
can we buy them?
Yes, you can buy them on my website now, BrittneyPalmer.com.
And are they NFTs or are they actual cards?
No, they're actual physical cards.
No, Conor McGregor's the NFT thing.
Yeah, I'll show you those.
How do you think the NFT world's like? Everything's taking a crash, right? The whole world is. I don't really look at I put a little bit of money into crypto at the exact wrong time, and every time I check, it's like cut in half. And I went and looked last night, and it's been cut in half and half again. And I think like everything's taking a hit in a weird way. But are you like a super crypto person? Are you not?
I'm not. No. I wish I was. I wish I had that.
Well, no, you wish you should have been like 2 years ago.
Yeah, but see, I actually probably would have been smart, because I'm always like, cash out. Like people are like, hold it. I'm always like a cash out girl. Like in the market, like if someone's like, I'm up 100,000, I'm like, cash out. They're like, no, that's not the point. I'm like, that is the point. Get out of there. But no, I haven't gotten too much into it. The NFT project is obviously because I work with Connor. But I and it's taken a dive. But I think everything is on its way to take a nice little dive.
Everyone's taking a dive.
Buckle up.
Stock market's taking a dive. Not Monster. We're still at like 96, so we're good. Yeah. The only problem we're having is like finding, there's just all sorts of stuff as big as companies come, but like the world's running out of resources.
Yeah.
Resources are tough to get by. As we were talking about our airlines are like crumbling right now. Bags ended up in weird places and staff not showing up, and we just live in a weird world, and I think we just gotta always just prepare for one thing of what COVID's done is it's like just be prepared.
Yeah.
And we ain't going back to normal. That's like this is normal.
The new normal.
Well, normal's boring, right? I think
I just don't like having to get a test.
And in danger, that's where excitement really builds.
I mean, but like this is how it's always been. You know, I think it was normal for a big chunk, and everyone. I mean, if you really look at not that long ago of the history of our country and the world, like there's always some crazy shit going down. You know, it was kind of I mean.
The fact that like America's only 350 years old, like we're not old.
Yeah.
You know,
and
so
like how much has gone on in then, you know, like
exactly. The fact that it almost crumbled, I was like, man, makes
you
sense.
know, like there's some like serious
January
stuff that
6th
happened
when they stormed the building.
Capitol. Oh yeah,
that was not a good look for our country.
No,
it was
continuously not a good look.
I thought it was kind of cool, truthfully, just because.
Like, damn the man, get out of there.
Yeah, well, not damn the man, but I just thought it was really cool to see. This mob of people like we see in all other countries rioting, doing stuff, but it was like this people broke in through what is supposed to be like such a tight-knit thing, and I think it gave some of those politicians who are like so high and mighty this realization that they're like really able to be touched, in a way.
But like, how do you create?
They got touched
like,
that day.
Did they like all have meetings? Like, are they in like a chat room? Like,
they were all on MySpace.
No,
group.
They weren't.
Yeah, that's how it was. Like, it went
well,
under the radar.
I think it was a group within a group. You know, I think there was already a thing going on.
Right.
And then it was a group within a group, and then they rallied up that bigger group, and were able to like. Anyway.
Well, it's a good thing Pasquale wasn't in on that group. It would have been a lot scarier if the whole EDC Fest showed up that day.
Yeah, I got 180. You know what's crazy though? There's no fights there. There's no anything. Everyone's just happy on Molly, and you know, it's just the way that it should be.
Yeah.
So
people just love music.
We really appreciate what you do as the UFC ring girl. You wear the monster logo. You're kind of like a monster girl, but you're not. You're like,
how do I get it to be a monster girl?
We're working.
You know, I'm wearing your logo already. I think you guys owe me at this point.
We're working on it. We're working on it. But Danny does his thing at the end, the little lightning round. He works really hard on these. He asks, very deep questions.
And
there'll be a lot of
whatever comes off the top of your head.
Okay.
Okay. First question: is there a discount code for your fans only page?
No, it's free.
Okay. What is your most inspiring artist, living and dead? Living or dead.
Living or dead. I think Frida Kahlo, I wear her on my neck. She's very inspiring as a female artist, and who kind of came up as an artist through an accident like me. So I will say Frida.
What's your favorite music to play while painting at your studio?
Ooh, that really depends on what I'm painting. But, if I'm painting abstract work, I'll listen to more like EDM, kind of just my hand will move the way of the brush. If I paint Jimi Hendrix, I'll listen to Jimmy and,
What's the biggest misconception you face as a good-looking female?
That I can't paint because I'm good looking.
Do people ever question that and be like, "Are you just selling these?"
Oh, I mean, all the time. If I show them my work, they're like, "You painted that?" And I'm like, "Yes, I did." And it still doesn't really register that I did. They're like, "Someone painted it for you," and I was like, "Okay." Well.
What's the best part about working UFC events?
Traveling, the fans. Being a part of something that is so big and so definite in a new sport that's the fastest growing sport in the world, just to be a staple with that.
What's your least favorite part about working UFC events?
Traveling and the fans.
Double-edged sword.
Yeah, no.
Who is the nicest UFC athlete ever?
The nicest UFC athlete ever? Uriah Faber.
Oh,
right?
I like him too. Yeah, that's cool. He's so badly wanting to get sponsored by Monster. Never happened.
Oh.
Maybe it did in the end there. I don't know. He's a cool guy.
Yeah, he's nice.
What's the perfect date night for you?
Perfect date night. I'm a homebody, so I would love like takeout, movie, like chill, something low key, maybe a gallery,
Oh my God, you literally described Dingo's perfect date night also.
See?
That's what makes me do all the time.
I do.
Go see some art, get some food. You know?
Last night we watched Player One.
Ready Player
that's
One.
a good one.
Well, we had some of my younger kids, like some of the kids that work for us that are younger over the house. So
yeah, but like I watch it at my age. I think that's a good movie.
we were like we said, oh, no, this is kind of like the modern day like Bill and Ted or something, and they're like, what? Who's Bill and Ted? And we're like, oh.
We'll put that on next.
Caleb.
What is your favorite thing about living in Las Vegas?
I think the lack of traffic, it's very convenient to drive anywhere, and my friends and family is there, so it's familiar.
Very cool. Well, that's all the questions I have for you. You've passed them all.
Thank you.
You're the best.
Thank you. You guys are the best as well.
We appreciate you and everything you've done, and we're just, excited. We need to get you in here more often.
Yeah.
So.
Anytime.
Thanks for
Whatever you guys need.
Brittney Palmer, that's a wrap.
Unleashed with the Dingo and Danny. Fueled by Monster Energy.